Could you tell us a little bit about how you first discovered anime and manga? I can tell you are a huge fan.
Yeah, so actually, when I first discovered anime and manga, it was around the age of, I want to say 5 or 6 years old. So it's a funny story actually. So back when I was a kid, my mom used to go to this little strip mall. She used to go to this little strip mall that has like a bunch of little stores because a lot of her friends like own these little stores. It was like this Somali strip mall in the heart of Toronto, and she always used to take me there on the weekends. But I always hated going and joining her along in the shopping that she would do. So she would take me to the back where this guy owned like a video store, and he sold all kinds of videos. Some like some wedding videos, some videos that are more inappropriate. You know what I mean? That I don't want to talk about, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So yeah. So he had this video store, and he used to always put on TV. He used to always put on movies and television and stuff for the kids that were in the actual mall. It was kind of like entertainment for the kids, so that when the moms were done shopping, the kids can watch while the moms are shopping. So he typically always put on the movie Lion King, and we one day, like, I got tired. All the other kids got tired. We're like, we need something new, man. Like, we need something that's like that'll make us get out of our seat. Like, what else do you got? Like, we kind of just went across the counter. Like, what else do you got, old man? Like, you know what I mean? And he had coincidentally, he had the whole Blu-ray version of Yu Yu Hakusho, like the whole Blu-ray version of Yu Yu Hakusho. I don't know how he got it. Okay. This is around 2003 or 2004. So I don't know how he had the whole Blu-ray version of Yu Yu Hakusho, but he had the whole Blu-ray version and or cassette or digital or whatever version, and he put it on, and I watched like every weekend when I went there, I would watch Yu Yu Hakusho. I watched the full entirety, the full dub of Yu Yu Hakusho. And while I was watching Yu Yu Hakusho back in the day, there was something called a lot of youngins probably don't know about this, but there was something back in the day called 4Kids TV. And this would show your Dragon Ball Z's, your all your anime shows, right? One Piece. So then coincidentally, as I was watching Yu Yu Hakusho, every Saturday morning I would watch Dragon Ball Z. And so then it turned into kind of like a love for anime. I started falling in love with these shows as a young kid. And then as time went on, I just started picking up more shows, started watching more shows. But really what it came down to is that one man and the whole Blu-ray copy of Yu Yu Hakusho that he had. And if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have what I have. I wouldn't have fallen in love with any of this. It's tough. It's hard to put in, like, it's tough to think about, you know what I mean? It's hard to think about the fact that it all came down to that, but that's really what it came down to, is the fact that he had that whole the whole copy of that. And I watched that. Yu Yu Hakusho to this day is my second favorite anime, because I just watched the whole thing, and I fell in love with not only the show, but in love with just like the aesthetic, the feel, the journey, the characters in anime. Just, it was something that a lot of superheroes, comics, they couldn't relate to me like some of those shows did. And so, like, along the way, I picked up Dragon Ball Z, Inuyasha, Shaman King, right? And I started watching a lot of these shows, Naruto, and then it went on from there. And then I became addicted, just like many other people. So yeah.
I feel you on that. It's interesting that Yu Yu was your first anime, though, because for me, I kind of discovered that a little later into my fandom of anime. My earlier ones, like, I was born in the early 90s, so like Samurai Pizza Cats, I don't know if you've ever heard of that one.
I think it sounds familiar.
It's old. Sailor Moon was huge for me, obviously. Dragon Ball, DBZ, all of those, like, just having all of those series in the beginning when you can't even like tell that it's anime, but you know it's different from all of the other cartoons. And then you'd start seeing more stuff on like YTV. You'd see stuff on like you were saying 4Kids and
Oh, you know YTV? Okay.
oh man, bro, I know YTV, man. I was a TV bitch growing up. That's all I did. I'd come home and I would watch. I remember when Gundam Wing came out. I remember that weekend they had Gundam Wing. They had Escaflowne. They had all of those shows, man, and it was a good time.
It was a good time. Brings me back, man. Yo. Oh man, just thinking about that. Even the name YTV, that brings me back. Yo, I know what you're feeling. Yo,
for real. So as time goes on, you obviously loved it from the jump, but you kind of got more into it. When did you start looking at like other series that weren't just available through what you'd find on TV or through Blu-ray?
I would say that was around the time when I was when I got heavily into Naruto. This is about, I want to say 2012. Because I would always see Naruto on TV, but I never actively watched Naruto. I didn't feel the same for Naruto as I felt for Dragon Ball Z. So around 2012, I think is when I really started getting invested into not only just watching the anime on TV that I always loved, like Inuyasha, but I also started to go online and watch animes online. So I would say it's from the span of 2008 to 2012 is when I really got invested into watching, especially Naruto. Oh my God. Like Naruto around that time was like I would say like it was, to me, it was even bigger than One Piece. You know, it was like, to me, like Naruto was amazing to me. You know, when I was a kid and I watched Sasuke versus Itachi for the first time at my friend's house, I was like blown away. You know, I was like ninjas and ninja stars and jutsus and like I love this, like, you know what I mean? So that's when I discovered like many other people, and you're probably gonna feel nostalgia when I say this, but that's when I started going on narutoget.com every day for like, you know, for like 6 hours a day, just watching Naruto, catching up on Naruto and really loving Naruto, you know, because before then I always watched part 1 Naruto, but I never felt like connected to it until Shippuden part 1 started. You know, part 1 Shippuden, like the beginning of Shippuden. And when I saw that, I was blown away. Like I instantly became a Naruto. Like I was just so fascinated. And when I started doing that, then I started like watching all kinds of other shows. Like I started watching Hitman Reborn. I started getting into Hitman Reborn. I started watching can't even think of all the shows now. Cowboy Bebop. I never watched Cowboy Bebop as a kid, but you know, around this time was like when I started watching Cowboy Bebop and Trigun and all these like great shows that I never got to enjoy when I was a kid. I started really delving into like going online, watching, like spending my entire life as a 14-year-old kid, just like watching anime and playing Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And you know what I mean? It was really like, it was a time where I enjoyed myself because I like that was probably the best time of my childhood where I could have just been a kid, you know, and not care about, you know, what everyone kind of said and did. And that was probably the best time, I would say, like in my anime journey, if you want to call it that, anime journey, that was probably my best time, is going online every single day, going on Naruto Get or Bleach Get. Bleach was also really big. And just like watching all the shows, it was like that was a magical time. This is past 4Kids. This is past the 4Kids era where you like internet became strong, and I became so invested in just watching these shows. So yeah, it's funny that you said that, because like I wanted to get into that also. It was like when I really started moving past just the television and going to the internet. So yeah, that was an amazing time too. Yep.
It was, man. The way you're talking about it, I share the exact same sentiments. A lot of anime fans nowadays, they don't realize how lucky they have it. Like,
Yeah.
we went through, which I consider the modern era of anime. That was the golden age,
Yeah.
2005 to 2012 to 15, around there. There
Yeah.
was a lot of great series, a lot of series that were coming out, or even manga that was coming out that was really pushing the boundaries and making anime mainstream. A lot of good manga, a lot of good games as well that were coming out. Just anime was really booming. Like, I love Pokemon, but I didn't know Pokemon would have such a huge impact on me if it wasn't for that era of Pokemon where the game started really pushing the boundaries of like DS. I have a Pokemon grinder. Like, I love Pokemon so much. It sticks with me. I'm a huge One Piece fan. I love all of these series from that time, but it's just being an anime fan in that era was so different. You really grew up with everyone else on the internet. You were getting fan subs. You were seeing your first time skip. You were seeing how stories can evolve and how they were so different from what we were consuming with North American cartoons.
Yeah, and also like anime back then, you got to remember, like, this is back in like 2008. It wasn't as cool as it is now. So like back in the day, like if you played anime or you watched anime or you played Pokemon or something like that, it was like you was seen as like kind of like a nerdy sort of thing. You know what I mean? It was like at least amongst my friends and where I grew up, it was like, yo, like, what are you doing? You watch anime? Like, you watch cartoons? Like, you watch the Disney Channel, my guy? Like, what do you like what are you doing? Like, you know, you play Pokemon? Like, what are you, 6? So like it was really like different back then, you know. Nowadays it's so normalized. I mean, you got rappers that are making album covers with just like based off of anime, right? You got like Megan Thee Stallion, her album cover or her magazine cover or whatever, she's like Todoroki pretty much, you know what I mean? And Lil Nas X is like one of these JoJo characters, and it's like it's so normalized because of like internet culture and Twitter culture. Everybody like just likes anime, right? Attack on Titan, everybody loves Attack on Titan, and nobody's gonna say that they don't like Attack on Titan, right? Everybody loves the story for what it is. But back then it was way different. I mean, the only shows I would say the mainstream like people would appreciate is either Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. But even Naruto was pushing the boundary. You know what I mean? People were like, Naruto ninjas, like that just, you know. But Dragon Ball Z, I would say was probably the only anime that people really respected and everybody knew about, and everybody went like, oh, you watch Dragon Ball Z? Okay, that's cool. But anything else, it was like, it was different. So nowadays, like you said, like I feel like a lot of modern anime fans, like they don't get the kind of the trials and tribulations, you know, 10, 12 years ago, how it was like 10, 12, 15 years ago, how it wasn't as open. People weren't as open to saying, yeah, I like anime or I watch not. You really had to watch these things in secret. You couldn't watch it with your homies. Well, maybe you could, but you couldn't go to school, for example, and watch, you know, Naruto with like 6 of your friends. It was sort of like a thing where you watched it by yourself or maybe with your brother or maybe with like a friend that likes it. But nowadays it's like everybody just comes together and watches anime. You go to the movie theater, you know, when Dragon Ball Super Broly came out, you know, you see everybody going to the theaters to watch it. It's like, so it's way more mainstream and it's way more accepted nowadays. But I agree. I would say between 2005 to I want to say about 2012, around the time Sword Art Online came out, and kind of just like I feel like around that time it kind of just went down a little bit. It's still good, but you know, like the culture is still good to some degree. But I feel like the people, like people's appeal to or their perspective towards it have changed, you know what I mean? And the different shows appeal to a different group of people, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just really different for somebody like me and you know what I mean?